Good morning, everybody. This is Matt Webster. Back today again with another video in my Christian Journey series. Today's video is going to start off a little different than the other ones. I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story, and then the story is going to lead into the character that was next on the list. So from there, let's just get started. So, the story kind of starts like this. There's this little boy growing up in a household, and he's surrounded by family, he has friends, stuff like that, but this little boy has a longing to be heard, and it seems like everyone around him isn't hearing him. In fact, in a lot of ways, he knows that people aren't hearing him, and he often feels isolated when he's surrounded by people. And it drives him to seek out very negative attention. He does obnoxious things, gets loud, does things that he knows he's not supposed to do, like steal. And as he grows, he feels even more unheard. It's like he finds more people, and he's surrounded by more people. He learns how to make friends better. But no matter what he does, that longing to be heard just still doesn't feel like it's being met. His brother goes through things, and his dad growing up is super abusive to both of them. And knowing that was hard on the little boy. So much so that his mother even had her own struggles, and it often felt like he didn't have a mother and a father. And in a lot of ways, he felt like he was not allowed to be a child, that he was kind of forced to grow up very fast. And what he really wanted was a father that, when he did something good, that was like, that's my boy, give him a hug. He wanted a mother who would hear his crazy thoughts. Instead, he felt like she never heard him, that she always had other things on her mind, and she was always complaining about her husband who wasn't giving her any love, and always worried about her youngest child who was going through a very dark struggle of his own. So, the little boy continued to grow up during his teenage years, and in his teenage years he ended up becoming more like a father figure to his own brother. His brother resented him for it for a long time, because that little boy didn't want to be a father figure, but he felt obligated to do it because there was a lack of parenting. And a lot of times, the little boy felt like this other little boy was spoiled. And they were brothers, and it drove a wedge between them both. And it felt like no matter how much this little boy tried to do what he felt was right, that it just kept driving a wedge between him and everyone around him. And he still was left feeling unheard. And he started going silent, started to not care what the world around him thought. So by the time he got into high school, this little boy was trying to become academically smart. He thought that maybe that was the path. And whilst having more intelligence, more knowledge, the little boy still felt empty. He felt a void, like something was missing. And his friends, albeit were his friends, might not have been the best of friends. A lot of times when other children or other people would bully this boy's group of friends, he was left to fight and protect them. He felt obligated to do that. And when the little boy's friends wouldn't fight back and help, it would frustrate him, because he was like saying the same thing over and over, which is, we need to stand up for ourselves. We need to fight. Why don't you guys do that? Eventually, the little boy was in a fight where not only was he fighting the bullies, he was fighting the very friends he tried to protect. And it was in that moment that little boy started feeling abandoned. Like, he was trying to put the weight of the world on his shoulders. And again, he kept trying to do what he genuinely felt was right. And he'd go home with that pain to only receive more pain. Instead of feeling loved and cared for at home, he felt isolated, alone. So he was feeling isolated at home and in school, and kind of led him to go back to something he swore he wouldn't do. Now, little boy's mother had some horrible things happen to her as a child, but he had doubts about it, had disbelief, and he went and talked to the perpetrators of this said damage. And the thing became that even his own family didn't trust him, didn't believe him. And this little boy didn't want to be in the middle of everyone else's fights. And yet it often seemed like he was dragged in when all he wanted was peace. And he wanted to believe that everything could be fine and he wasn't going to be dragged into a war that he didn't belong to. But it kept seeming like he kept getting dragged into everyone else's battles. It got to a point where this little boy even started dating girls that, as an adult man, that weren't very good. He was seeking validation from his women and comfort, because he just wanted to be heard. And a lot of these girls never once heard him. He started wondering if anyone was ever going to hear him. So then he started on this really bad path of just giving to everybody, in hopes that maybe if he just gave enough, people around him would hear him. Then the unthinkable happened, and the little boy began to start to lose hope. Someone that had carried hope for so long was starting to lose it. And this little boy then went into places he didn't belong. He started seeking to be heard the wrong way. And he was starting to pay for it. And it felt nice for a while, these women being able to hear him. And he thought, maybe this is just the way it is. Maybe I have to pay to be heard. And the thing was, it wasn't just wanting to be heard at that point. This little boy wanted affection. And even though he was a man, that little boy inside of him still was hurting. So here he was now in his late 30s, and after many broken relationships, a lot of effort, a lot of heartache and pain, he was about to completely give up, and he just wanted it all to end. Then one night, he was driving along, and he had this sense, like this thing calling out to him. And while this little boy had always prayed and always believed in God, he'd somehow gotten a little off course, and God decided to redirect that course. So he put this little boy, who's now a man, in contact with a young lady who had a little girl that was trapped inside of her. And for a while it was good for both of them, because I think both of them needed to see things and like maybe reflect on their wounds and know that it wasn't just a matter of growing up that they needed. It was a matter of admitting that there's a deeper part of them that longed for something more. That both wanted to hope for something and both needed something more, whatever. But then God also had the two of them separated, because both of them had different lessons that they needed to learn respectively. And it wasn't until recently that little boy realized that his biggest flaw was that he needed to humble himself enough to admit that he needed help. That he wasn't going to be able to do it on his own anymore. That it was okay to want to rely on other people. It was okay to want other people in your life, but you also needed God at the center of that, and you couldn't do it on your own, and that asking for help was never a bad thing. It was also understanding that other people around you might have their own wounds, and you needed to hear them as well. Now, having said that, that's kind of where the story is at right now with that little boy. Now, the character that I want to go over is from Attack on Titan. It's actually the main character of the series. His name is Erin Yeager. Erin Yeager is the main character, and it's really funny because in one way he represents what humanity is at its core. A lot of people think he's the villain by the end of the series, but there's also a lot of people that still see him as the hero. The truth of it is, he's neither really the hero or the villain, because he's somewhere in the middle with the darkness and the gray. There is no black and white with him. It's lots and lots of gray. This character's major flaw in the series is he puts everything on his own shoulders, and even so much so that he sacrifices himself completely to unite all of humanity. And there could have been another way. He didn't see another way because I don't think he wanted to. And what happened was he ended up having to be taken out by his very friends. And whilst he made a sacrifice for the better of humanity, there could have been a different path if he hadn't been self-reliant. And it's something I'm learning about myself, is that maybe I've been too self-reliant and I've been trying to put everyone else's burdens on my own shoulders, and it's been slowly wearing me down and breaking me down. And a big part of that is maybe I didn't want to acknowledge the wound in myself that, you know, that little boy inside desperately needed to admit that there was a lot of pain that he'd been carrying, that he didn't have anyone to share with, and that he really just wanted to be heard. And when it feels like you're not heard, you can accidentally sometimes not hearing the people around you. And one of the reasons why God removes you from people when you're like that, especially if it's someone you really care about, is so that you don't hurt them. And even having said that, I'm certain I've made mistakes, and there have been people that I made feel unheard and unseen, and that wasn't my goal. And maybe if I hadn't just admitted that I had that pain, and that I was trying real hard to hide it and mask it because I thought if I was just strong enough to carry it and keep going, that eventually things would get better. But I'm realizing more now that I needed to be more honest and more open about it. And the thing that's really, really damning is that I know this isn't damning in the sense of the way I'm saying it, but I know that I also need to confront the source of the problem. And it's been something that's really hard, and it's been on my mind a lot. And I know some of my friends need to do something similar to this. I'm not telling them that they need to do it right away, because it's different. Even I'm struggling with it. But soon I'm going to talk to my mother, because I've never confronted her about it, and a lot of times, even when I talk to her now, she still overrides me, and I'm doing my best to be patient. But a lot of times, even when I'm talking to her now, I still feel unheard by her. And I think for me and her to get past any annoyances or grievance I have with her, any frustration she has with me, this needs to be a conversation that needs to take place. Because God doesn't want you carrying around baggage all the time. And the thing is, I've never really truly been brave enough to bring this up, because I was always afraid that if I brought up the truth, not only was I going to hurt people, but I was going to lose people. But I also understand that sometimes God works things out in a way where what you want to expect is not what you should expect. And that if you put enough faith in God, God will work it out in your favor. Anyways, I hope that the story finds the right people, and I hope for the sake of my friends that are hearing this video, because the truth is this. One thing I'm admitting now is that maybe this is going to sound crazy to some people, but God didn't put you in my life on accident. And especially those of you that I've mentioned that pulled me up out of the water in the dream. Truth is, I need you guys. And I can't do this battle on my own anymore. And I'm kind of tired of being self-reliant. So I hope you guys are hearing this message, and this video finds you guys especially, and that you decide to click on it and watch it, because I really do. I need you guys. Anyways, for everyone else, next time.